All right, let's get into it. Today we're talking about the movie Palmer. And wow, what a story. It's all about second chances, redemption, and really what it means to build a family when it feels like the whole world is against you.
So, let me ask you something. Can you ever really outrun your past? That's the big question this movie tackles. It's all about this guy, Eddie Palmer. He was the hometown football hero, but his life just went completely off the rails, and now he's trying to pick up the pieces after spending over a decade in prison.
So here's the setup. A convict comes home, but his past is just everywhere. We see Eddie Palmer get off a bus right back in his tiny Louisiana hometown. And after 12 years locked up, you'd think there'd be a welcoming party, right? Nope. Just his grandmother, Vivian. Because in a town this small, nobody forgets a thing.
And man, is he up against it. I mean, he's got this massive weight on his shoulders. He's an ex-con, he's done his 12 years, but in a small town, that label sticks. Everyone knows him, and they definitely know his record. So finding a job, forget about it. He gets those stares, the whispers. They follow him everywhere. And lurking in the background is always that temptation to fall back into his old ways. Okay, so then there's this kid next door. In this beat-up trailer lives Sam, a little boy who, well, he doesn't exactly fit in either. His mom, Shelley, is, to put it mildly, a mess. She's neglectful, disappears for days, sometimes weeks at a time. So who's looking after Sam? You guessed it, Eddie's grandma, Vivian. So you've got this interesting parallel, right? Eddie's being judged for his past, but Sam is being judged for who he is in the here and now. He's this really sweet, unconventional kid. He's all about princesses and dolls, just totally in his own world. But in this town, that makes him a bullseye for bullies. The other adults are always giving him these looks. He's fighting his own war, just trying to be himself. And this line right here, this sums up the whole town's attitude. It comes from Daryl, one of Eddie's old buddies, and he just says there's something seriously wrong with that kid. It's just that casual, brutal judgment. And that's exactly the kind of thing that both Sam and pretty soon Eddie are going to be up against. So you've got these two outsiders, kind of orbiting each other. And then everything changes. A single event just completely blows up Eddie's plan to keep his head down and get through parole. Suddenly, his life and Sam's are about to slam right into each other. It's just heartbreaking. One morning, Eddie wakes up and finds that his grandmother, Vivian, has passed away in her sleep. She was his rock, his only support system, the only person on the planet who truly had his back. And just like that, she's gone. And that's the thing. It wasn't just Eddie who was alone. With Vivian gone and Sam's mom nowhere to be found, they're both just adrift. Two lost souls, abandoned in their own ways, and now all they have is each other. So Eddie does what you'd think he'd do, right? The responsible thing. He takes Sam to Child Protective Services, he drops him off, and starts to walk away. But he looks back, and through the window, he sees Sam's face, just utterly heartbroken and terrified. And in that one look, you can just see it. Something inside Eddie just snaps. He turns right around, walks back in there, and takes Sam home. This is it. This is the moment everything starts to change for him. And just like that, a new chapter begins. It's a fight for a family they didn't even know they wanted. The ex-con and this unique little kid, they start to build this thing. And it starts to look an awful lot like a family. And, thankfully, they get a little help from Sam's teacher, Maggie, who's just wonderful. And you really see how deep their bond is getting in these tiny, everyday moments. Like a classmate's mom calls Eddie to set up a play date. And during the call, she just casually mentions that Sam thinks of Eddie as his dad. For a guy like Eddie, who has never, ever been anyone's role model, imagine hearing that. It's huge. And they start to build a real life together. They find a rhythm. Eddie starts being a dad. He's not perfect, not by a long shot, but he's trying. They go bowling with Maggie. He teaches Sam about right and wrong when Sam steals a toy. He even throws him a birthday party. He's literally building a foundation of trust and stability that this poor kid has never, ever had. Of course, just when things start to feel okay, stable even, it all comes crashing down. The outside world, and more importantly, Eddie's own violent past, just gets unleashed, and it threatens to tear down everything they've managed to build. And it gets
ugly. The prejudice against Sam, it goes from just words and whispers to actual violence. Remember Daryl, the guy from the bar? Well, he and his buddies corner Sam. They physically hold him down and smear makeup on his face. This isn't just bullying anymore. This is assault. It's absolutely sickening. So Sam comes running to Eddie, crying his eyes out. And Eddie's first instinct, is to give him that tough love advice. He thinks it was other kids. He says, if you don't stand up for yourself now, those kids are never going to leave you alone. He's trying to teach him to be tough. But then Sam says it. They weren't kids. It was Daryl. And just boom, the whole world shifts for Eddie in that moment. This wasn't some schoolyard fight. These were grown men who attacked a child, his child. And that changes everything. So that protective instinct it takes over completely. And he goes right back to being the guy he was before prison. He finds Daryl at that bar and just unleashes on him. It's raw, it's violent, and it's all out of love for Sam. But it's also a massive parole violation. He just put everything, their whole future, at risk. And just to kick them while they're down, at this absolute rock bottom moment, who shows up? Shelley. Sam's biological mom. She's a total wreck, strung out and unstable, and she decides now is the time she wants her son back. It's just the worst possible timing, and it rips their little family to shreds. And this leads to the final showdown, a father's redemption. But this time, Eddie can't use his fists. He has to fight for Sam in a courtroom, a system that only sees the ink on his rap sheet, not the man he's become. So you can see the court's dilemma here, right? It's the law versus what's right. The law says Sam belongs with his biological mom, Shelley. It says Eddie's a criminal. But the truth is that Shelley is a neglectful addict, and Eddie has completely turned his life around for this kid. He's the only real parent Sam has ever had. But the system, it just can't see past the paperwork. So the court fails them. They give Sam back to Shelley, even temporarily, and Eddie sees her immediately slipping back into her old, dangerous lifestyle. He's terrified for Sam's safety. So he does the only thing he can think of. He grabs Sam and runs. He becomes a fugitive to protect this boy. He knows it's a dead end, he knows he can't run forever, and eventually he does turn himself in. But then, something incredible happens. Shelley sees Sam running after the cop car, taking Eddie away, just screaming his heart out, and that finally breaks through to her. She has this moment of clarity, and for the first time she does something truly for her son. She goes to the cops and says this, "I'm a terrible mother. He'll have a better life with Eddie." She drops the charges and gives Eddie full custody. She finally puts her son first. Which brings us back to the big question, doesn't it? What really makes a family? Is it blood, or is it the love that you are willing to fight for? The movie Palmer really makes you think. It argues that being a parent isn't about biology or having a perfect past. It's about showing up. It's about protecting someone. It's about fighting for them no matter what. It's about a family built not on blood, but on choice.